At all the times. Like I'm sitting at home all weekend doing fuck all. Well, I'm trying to get my studio set up, right? But I mean, other than that, like I haven't been doing fucking nothing because I don't know about you guys, but here it's just fucking retarded, man.
All right, well, hey, let's kick it off, man. Let's do that. Let's do the drop proper here. So I'm calling this thing RoKTok.
That's pretty cool.
And I'm going to be talking with a few local musicians and just chatting point of origin, how you got into it and all that. And I thought kind of worked out in a nice way because, you know, starting off this whole new thing, here we are all these years of knowing each other, kind of makes sense to have you on episode 1 and chat music, right? Because you were at the Nexus.
Yeah, that is pretty cool, actually, you know. And one thing that like I learned, like are you recording now or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. The cool thing about COVID is
Figures mission 1, I would lose your video feed.
this.
You cut out on me. I'm like 30 seconds in, technical difficulties already.
Well, that's the problem. I don't use Zoom a lot because I've used Teams because these issues. I mean, my Wi-Fi here, I'm on fiber and all that shit. But whatever. The cool thing about COVID is like for a lot of people, you know, they had choices, right?
Yeah.
And I think for me, I got to refine music. And, you know, like that was big for me. And I think it's part of my own journey and healing process actually is to rewrite again. So, you know, it's been 20 years since I wrote music. And, you know, when we did write, I was with you and Pike primarily, and then your sister, you know, and we did amazing things. So I can only imagine what can happen today.
You mentioned like COVID kind of put everything on pause, right? Like,
oh yeah,
like people didn't have a choice but to kind of focus on things a little bit closer to home, right? Because you get so used to just being on the go and like, what do they call it? The status quo grind, right? Where you're always kind of moving toward that next goal. And it kind of forced everybody to slow down, take a look around, get comfortable with what they got going on. So how exactly did you find your way back to music? Because it kind of caught me by surprise, right? Like one day we're talking life and the next day you're like, bro, check out this vid of me jamming. I'm like, what is going on here?
Well, and surprisingly enough, like, you know, to not pick it up for literally like 15, 20 years and put a guitar in my hands that I didn't even play guitar, as you know, I was a bass player, and be able to actually play it. That is what drove it. So for me, you know, my spouse bought me a guitar for Christmas out of the blue. And that's how it all started. That's how it all started. And I found it very therapeutic, you know, and I was like, wait a minute here. Not only can I actually play some songs and, you know, still read music somewhat, I can create them. So I just started creating my own stuff again. And I'm like, okay, I don't really want to start a band and I'm not going to be a rock star. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I already live a rock star life and I already have, right? I've done my damage. I've done my damage. I went through so much shit. And this is just such an opportunity, especially during COVID, to collaborate with people, you know? And then next thing you know, like, I'm like, all right, I don't know why, but I was like, I got to set up a studio again. And honestly, it's given the kids hope. Like I got kids down the street going like, can I check it out? And like, we're not even done yet. I got some amps in here, you know, TV, like I'm waiting on shipments of stuff. Like I spent a lot of money on this project and we're going to do it right. And we're going to be able to do it. And, you know, when we can, I'm sure, you know, we'll do stuff with you and probably do stuff with Pike. Like I know he's looking forward to coming down here. And it's not about, you know, creating a band. It's just, let's have some fun because, you know, when we were in a band, we were a band and every band is the same with those dynamics, right? Like, and now it's not about that for me anyways, you know, like I have my career and I have a very good career. Who knows? We could write a smash. Like, I don't know, but that's not the plan. The goal is.
I got one
like
question. One important question.
Yeah.
At what point does the bandana find its way into your back pocket and has it already happened?
Like I'm working on it. I mean, like I was rocking this out earlier, you know, like I was out, here I am, this guy in a plaid shirt, tattooed, driving a Mercedes, right? Just listening to like, you know, some emo, just crank, like, windows down, everything. And everybody's looking at my car. And I hate that shit. And you know, what's funny, another thing about COVID And I used to be a very materialistic person, as you know, man. You've known me my whole life.
Yeah.
And I actually went and took almost my whole watch collection and put it in the bank because I
Wow.
just don't give a shit anymore. I
Yeah.
know what I have. And you know, like a lot of things have came positive for me through this. In the beginning, it was very hard on me, like emotionally, you know, with my anxiety and shit like that. But the good part is I didn't go backwards and I didn't fall into a hole of like, you know, the old me, like the dope me. Like I didn't go that way. So I'm going this way, you know, I'm finding a different addiction.
Yeah.
And it's more positive because like we all know people that have died from, you know, overdoses through this,
Yeah.
suicides.
Yeah.
Well, I know some people. I don't know if you do. I mean, we have a lot of mutual connections, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, we were best friends for oh, how many years, man? You know, when we've always been able to stop and then pick up like, you know, like it was kindergarten, right?
Yeah.
Like, give me my fucking crayons back, dude.
Like, I don't know if we were ever trading crayons, but I mean, like, I'm down. We'll get
but
in
you
it.
know what I'm saying? Like, I drove through Chatham the other day, just because we wanted to get out of the house, and I drove by your mom's old place off of St. Clair,
Yeah.
the porch.
Yeah.
And I just thought, wow, man, like I've known JD for so long, you know. And then I got thinking about this music stuff and all that, and I'm like, how can I not, you know? And why don't I just be my fucking self? And I got so absorbed in all this bullshit and the corporate world too. You know, I grinded it out and I'm still going to grind it out.
Yeah, you're doing good at it.
To a certain degree.
Well,
but, you know, man, if I go to Walmart in a t-shirt, I shouldn't give a fuck anymore, you know? Yeah. And I used to care and I don't know why I did. So, I mean, the positive things of COVID has put a lot of stuff in perspective for me. And I look at music as, for me personally, as really good therapy.
So let's take a step back because I'm kind of curious. I don't know if we've ever talked about this.
Sure.
How exactly, like way back in the day, how did you find a way to music the first time? Because when we first met, like we're talking way back when we were friggin' making fun of kids for writing corn on hats, right? Like,
oh, yeah. Like, okay, so all right. Yeah, no, we haven't, I don't think, ever talked about it.
Yeah.
All we did one day, me, you, and Pike went into a music store, decided you were going to play the fucking keyboard. I was the bass player, and he was going to play guitar.
Everything, all the bases covered, bro.
Yeah, but you never picked up the keyboard. You became a drummer.
Well,
so,
okay. In fairness, I believe that my theory on it was that I didn't know how to play the drums. The drums would be inside the keyboard.
Yeah.
I could learn how to play some. I mean, it made sense.
And that's where the one that was today with technology.
Bro,
right?
Listen, I got to step in here, and I think you're gonna have to buy some drums.
Yeah. So it goes way back before that, though. Okay, so you know, when I first met you, I think I was like 13 or 14, right?
Yep.
I was in grade 9, I think. And that kid that had the corn hat that I think we're talking about,
yep.
I believe it was him or
somewhere.
Something.
He's out there watching this video right now. He's probably still got that hat on a little shrine somewhere in the back, I assume.
I don't think so. But anyway, so my first guitar I picked out of the garbage. And because I didn't have one, and like I grew up real fucked up. Like, I mean, you know, my dad's family was very stable. My mom's family was very stable, but you know, my parents weren't exactly. I mean, my dad was more stable than my mom, but you know, whatever. Anyways, the guitar wasn't really an option for, you know, me, right? Or guitar lessons or anything like that. Without the support of my grandparents, you know, and I still never did take any. But my first guitar came out of the garbage, and I took it home, and I think it had like 4 strings on it. And like I didn't know anything about stringing a guitar or tuning a guitar at all. And I just started strumming. And I think the first song I ever learned was like the first like 5 notes of Bleach by Nirvana. Boom, 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 boom. Right. And I can still play it today.
There's probably right now, I guarantee you, there's about 82% of people watching this. If they played an instrument, those are the first notes they learned to play, period, followed by the word Nirvana.
Or Smells Like Teen Spirit.
One of them, right?
It's like rock, scissors, paper. I don't know which was first, right? And then like the Toadies, I Come From the Water, like, or whatever it's called, whatever their biggest hit was, or
The one hit,
yeah, whatever. And then I, played some Everclear because it was like 2 chords and like whatever. So I was like, yeah, guitar's really cool and interested. And my buddy at the time, like this is like probably grade 6 or 7, right? We didn't know what we were doing, man. We were trying cigarettes, like, you know what I mean? Like that was the life. We were trying to pretend we didn't smell like smoke when we went home. Like that's that
life
era,
goals.
pocket chains and shit. And from there, we started a band. He was like, man, my buddy Nick is a drummer. And I was like, okay. And I met him, and he's like, I play guitar. And he took lessons, and he had a guitar and an amp and all that. And then we were like, well, we need a bass player. So I became the bass player. So it's a lot like you going from keyboards to drums, right? So I was kind of told I was a bass player, and I digged it. And my first band was called Bliss 57 because we were these, yeah.
Oh
we
man, that I mean
Nirvana freaks, right? We kind of stole it from Kurt Cobain, and Kurt Cobain was a big influence to us. And all we played was like Bush cover tunes and Nirvana cover tunes.
That's all you need. That's all you need.
Grade 8, right? And then I got for Christmas that year, I got a Trainer tube amp, bass amp, which I wish I had today because those things they're mint. Trainer makes great amps. And my dad bought me a bass, a 4-string bass for Christmas. So then music got serious. And then I put it down, right? Because life went on and we were out causing shenanigans as teenagers, and we loved music, me and you.
Yep.
But we were more into like figuring it out, right? Smoking weed and watching Pink Floyd The Wall. Like and all that.
Trying not to slide off that friggin' medical bed. Do you remember that thing? Trying to cram people in there at lunch, and everybody's wiping out, no room in that tiny room.
Yeah, dude. Like I think the bottom drawer of your dresser was my stash of DeMoria cigarettes, and like
you always had that red box.
Yeah, and then I
didn't even give a crap about smoking, just had to have them.
Yeah, exactly. And then I don't know, we were into video games and stuff like that, and then we decided, Pike was in college, I think, and I hadn't went to college yet, and we just were like, we're starting a band. And then that's where it came. And then, dude, I mean, for what we did, you know what I mean? Like, I remember during those times, like talking to, DJ Ashba, which is a great guitar player, and he was listening to our music, and look what the guy was playing. He's played for Guns N' Roses and stuff and given us tips. And, I built that studio and we wrote songs, and, we recorded in different places, in different studios, and, it was really fucking cool. And, talking to Scott Humphrey, I don't know if you remember that era.
Vaguely, yep.
Out in California, and, and like him having interest in recording an album for us and stuff like that, and I was so lost though in life. And I mean, it was pretty awesome that we have a song that was called Lost, because I was in like a really bad place, not with drugs or alcohol or anything, but mentally at that time. And then when the band broke up, I think I was in so deep that I put up like a wall and a defense mechanism that, like, my dreams were shattered, right? But I didn't want to show that. And it was just like bullshit. And it was like nothing to do with the band. It was me dealing with my own shit in life,
So let's take a little trip here, because I got something to show you. Okay. I thought you'd get a kick out of this. So if you cry on camera, I'm not editing it out. I'm just leaving that shit in there.
I haven't cried a lot during COVID. Yeah, that's crazy. I'm not going to cry because I'm going to tell you something. A little while ago, I Googled some stuff and I seen that. So, I
got one more for you.
Oh shit.
I got one more. Do you remember these?
What? Wow. That's crazy.
I still have about 8 of them. I found them in a box a little while ago. Remember, we had like, what tracks do we have on here? We had,
I don't even know, man.
Failure, Lost, and Pandora's Box. And wait for it. You can reach us at myspace.com /Stillframe Rocks.
Yeah. It's great. Yeah, that's crazy. I think we burned those CDs ourselves, didn't
Yeah,
we?
we did. You can tell with the sticker job, bro.
Yeah, I remember burning some in my basement, and we're putting stickers on them, and like, t-shirts, and like, dude, at that time, I will say we had the opportunity to play with some amazing bands,
Yeah, that's true.
some amazing talent. Like, even still today, I look at Phil,
Yep.
I don't know if you talk to him anymore. I've started talking to him recently a little bit. I plan on having him down eventually,
Yep.
uh, the guy's just super talented.
Yeah. Well, as far as, I'm sure I'll talk to him on here at some point. But
Yeah,
as far as local talent goes, he's kind of like one of the is like the Mount Rushmore of Chatham's rock scene, right?
I would say so, because the thing about him is his music and his playing style. He's so adaptable that he could really, like, say a country band
Yeah.
guitar player didn't show up one night and the show was canceled. He'd be like, "No, I'll grab a guitar and I'll play,"
I've
and he'll
never seen him
play
in a
it, right?
cowboy hat, but I mean, I support the idea. Like, I
Yeah,
definitely support it. Get him one of those big
yeah.
10-gallon ones.
He's just so good, and now, like, with the way that technology is, that was another driving thing. So when I looked into, like, building a studio, like, I'm essentially building what we would have been in before, that was like $2 million worth of gear for, like, 30-40 thousand dollars,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Like, it blows my mind.
Dude, doing this right here. Like, how, like, go back 10 years and the stuff we would need to set up for like a properly HD captured video chat with good sound. You would need like the mic, you'd have a light, you'd have
Yeah,
boom things, you'd have to have a special camera. And now
yeah,
you literally just plug and play, right?
yeah. And like the ability, like, even I've sent some tracks off. I have a buddy that I went to church with, and he's been recording music for 50 years. He's worked in some major studios and things like that, and I've had him have a listen just to critique it, and give me some feedback. And he's actually pretty impressed too. And I am attributing a lot of that to technology. We don't need all that analog outboard like we used to,
No, no, no.
but I still am, because that's who I am. I'm doing a mix of analog stuff and digital, right? But I've downloaded some plugins, and I have some universal audio stuff coming that's going to allow me to have the universal audio plugins. Like, I'll be using a $5,000 compressor that's included with what I bought. You know what I mean? And it's almost a one-to-one replication. So the quality of sound that comes out is just phenomenal compared to what we used to have to go through,
Oh yeah. But I
right?
mean, you know what was good about that was I don't think I mean, you think about starting a band with your friends and having some fun and all that sort of stuff. Man,
Right.
we were deep. Like,
Yeah, we were, but we had opportunities too to play with bands that have
yep.
toured the world.
Yeah, yeah.
How many people can say that
Yep.
out of Chatham, Ontario?
Yep. And we got asked. Remember, we got asked. That band reached out to us like a year after, when sadly, at that time we weren't making music. But they
Right.
reached out about us touring with them on the West Coast, right? That would have been an awesome adventure, but just about a year too late.
There was so much opportunity. And I mean, you guys stayed in the game. So, like, I'm kind of behind, because at one point in time, if my memory is correct, I'm not taking any credit or anything, I was more into the engineering and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And now, like Pike's engineering skills
Next
are
level.
bar none, because he's stuck with it, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I'm asking him questions now, and which is great, because you guys were all great friends to me. I'm the one that fell off, and I owe you all an apology in so many different ways. I don't want to look back and go backwards, but I do understand a lot more than you think, and
Yep.
I was wrong about a lot of things. The shit that happened in between me and my household and stuff like that,
Yeah. Yeah.
that was still bullshit, and that has resolved itself, and I shouldn't have been in that situation. But aside from that crap,
Yep.
like, you guys were solid friends.
So
And
let's talk past adventure here, man. Because
sure.
talking about the old Fringe adventure, when you think back on, well, some of the names we went with, what were Sleepy Hollow was in the running, Telltale Heart was in the running for a bit,
Oh
finally
yeah.
settled on Stillframe. Check
Yeah,
out
which was
MySpace
cool.
people.
Yeah.
But when you think back on that, man, what was, I mean, I have memories, I know that I kind of hold dear from that whole adventure, just being young and stupid, hitting the stage, almost putting my eye out with the Freddy Krueger glove, like lots of decisions that, could have
Yeah.
made better. But when you look back on it, like what's one or two that kind of stand out to you from that adventure?
I think the last show we ever played as a band live, I smashed my bass and threw it at your drum set. That was pretty big. And I think I
You
might
were
have pushed
stoked.
some
You were
shit
so stoked.
I might have pushed some shit off the stage or something too. I think like I went just berserk, right? On like a Tuesday night, but that wasn't Tuesdays and Wednesdays were my thing back then, right? That was one thing that really stood out for me. Recording to tape, to analog tape, like in Bert's studio.
Yeah, that's a really cool experience.
That was a cool experience because I mean the tape machine is now making a comeback, even in people's homes. Like, you know, you can get a tape machine, people are redoing them. I just heard for like $12,000 now, right? Which is cheap compared to what they used to cost Hollywood per se. And that's what made the sound so warm. You know, so the ability to do that was a really cool thing because there's a lot of new musicians probably that will never be able to record to tape, whether they're home musicians, studio artists, they still probably will record to tape somewhat. I don't know though, because I mean, you know, so much digital stuff is available. Like I have a digital tape machine plug-in. I have another one coming with my universal audio set, you know, and that universal audio one, like apparently it's like a 1-to-1 emulation. So that's just crazy. So to be able to actually see a guy load a tape machine, you know, and us record to tape at $250 a reel for 30 minutes, that's a cool experience.
So if I play a song at the end of this interview, kind of like throw it in there, what song do you want me to throw in for a clip?
I would say Failure. To me, that song it spoke volumes. Even when we wrote it, it was always for me a big one. You know, I'm sure like us as evolving musicians, more so you guys, because you stayed, I'm coming out of retirement per se, but I believe that I'm probably in it for the long run now. And it is what it is. Like, this is just, I needed a hobby, man. You know, I'm such an introvert anyways, because my work consumes me so much. And therapy, like I don't have to pay to go see a fucking therapist anymore. I can just go out in my garage.
You can just build a studio.
Dude, but for real, musical therapy, like I'm on the fundraising committee for Windsor Essex mental health, right? Because I mean, I've struggled with mine. You know, I've seen people struggle with it. I've always reached out for help for mine, even if it took a while. But that's a thing that is deep in my heart and something that I believe in, because we all go through shit, and you know, whatever it is, what it is. I think musical therapy is a really good tool to help people.
Well, it is, right?
And I think for me, this is something that I needed. And like when I told you I was getting back into music, you just were like, duh, like it's in your bones. I think that's exactly what you told me. And I thought, no shit, like, you know, but I need to not be Motley Crue this time, right?
Maybe a little less Crue, just a little less.
Yeah, man, like I don't need to be.
So I'll tell you one of my favorite memories from, and I mean, there's a few, right? I remember.
Yeah, I have a few too. Yeah,
I remember coming back in the Grape Smuggler there in the middle of the friggin' whiteout, trying to friggin' find our way across the highway after the analog record sessions, cramming all that equipment in that little van. But one of the ones I think I remember most was when we did, I think it was our second or third show, and we were supposed to be like I think second on the card. And people were showing up for us because you remember back then we were pulling people over on the side of the road and stuffing flyers in their faces, right? We're like, come to the rock show. Like,
we were the Las Vegas Dream. Like we were doing all the shit that Rat did and Motley Crue did.
I remember they kept showing up, and so the organizer there was telling us that, okay, you know what, we're going to put you on third. Okay, we're going to put you on fourth. And I remember you started slamming Red Bull because you wanted to make sure your energy was up, and you ended up having about 8 of them.
Well, I had my moves,
ordering a Red Bull.
I had my move.
I remember
and shit,
I remember you got on the stage and you literally look back at me like this. You're like, and I'm like, dude, and you look at me, you're like, I can't feel my hands.
That was way before cocaine. Thank God I was in a band before I tried cocaine.
Wait, that's one that always, I mean, I remember, was it one of the first shows when Pike and Misha sat down and they did like the little acoustic song in front of people and people put their lighters up and stuff. Like that was a really cool vibe.
Oh, a big one for me. Okay, we played Lost at the old 8-ball twisters or whatever.
So says 8-ball Paul.
Okay, so one thing I did do is my guitar persona is 8-ball Paul.
Oh, okay.
My buddy Jimmy is my roadie, and his name is Tokyo Jim.
I thought I was talking to Ryan. I wasn't aware I was having this conversation with 8-ball Paul. It has been noted.
It's kind of cool, right? Like kind of.
Yeah, no, for sure. You're not living the Motley Crue time around. No, you're okay.
It's like Dimebag Daryl, man. Like I'm 8-ball Paul. So
it worked out well for him.
Hey, Superman's Clark Kent, whatever.
Like, yeah, no, Clark Kent, 8-ball Paul. It's practically the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think I chose that name due to my past, and I don't know. Paul rhymed with 8-ball, so
no, it's very technical. Paul. Yeah, how you brought it all.
I'm looking for an 8-ball sticker to put on my Les Paul. Actually, I'm not even
saying,
joking.
Man.
I'm not even joking. So another big moment for our band was we played the song "Lost." And all the bands we played with that night freaked out. Like they were trying to get up on the stage to tell us to play it again. Like, do you remember how intense that was?
Yeah.
So we played it 10 times harder the second time.
Oh, yeah. No, I broke the drum skin.
We played it, and then we stopped for like 45 seconds, looked at each other. These people are going zombie insane, trying to grab our guitars and shit, literally, like, to tell us play it again. And we looked and we just went off on that second rendition of it and played it harder. And I swear we rocked the roof off that fucking place that night, man.
Oh, like, yeah. I remember standing up and drumming, and the drummer from that one band just came up to me and he was like, I've been waiting so long to see somebody big enough to do that.
Yeah. Like, oh yeah.
We got you, bro.
I don't know. And the cool thing about our band playing live is like, we were different live than just sitting around writing tunes or practicing, right? Practicing for shows, like we would play, but when we played live, we played harder. And and we synced better too. And that was a cool dynamic of our band. Unless we had an off night, which every band does, right? And when we had an off night, we'd usually pick it up a little bit. But yeah, there was a ton of great memories, and I can't wait till COVID's over and I told Pike this, that you had these clips. So I want you to develop those clips and see how stupid it is.
So you know what I'll do? When I'm editing this right now,
right.
I'm gonna 7. Stuff for the second obligation secret. Yep.
Positive about that too is I had to fail a lot to be where I am today.
Yeah.
And I can talk openly about stupid shit I've done because, I've evolved. I'm still me deep down inside. I'm still not perfect. I still make mistakes, but I mean, I'm such a better person today than I was. So that song, I think I knew that I was like not on track in my life during that time. And it just resonated with me. Like it was deep. It was really deep. So lyrically, more so than the instruments, lyrically, it really resonated with me personally.
So you see,
and that one was played on the radio too, right? I think
Yep.
we had it on CBC, we had it on Blackburn, and I think it was played in Florida, a couple of states in the US. I think
I want to say it was in California somewhere.
I think so. I think there was about 15 different stations that played that song. 12 to 15 anyways, I think. I'm pretty sure. We did some couple interviews in different magazines for a couple of the tracks. And I think that one came up quite a lot too.
Yep.
So, I think people enjoyed that song. I could only imagine what it would sound like today, but it was what it was, right? And it was, I don't know, lyrically, I think it was a great song. And that was the strongest part for me.
Well, that's always something like, we've talked about this a bit, but when you talk about building a song, and I always talk about about the story, right? I always talk about like, what's the story of the song, right? That you talk about driving down the street, jamming out to your emo in your beanie. And it's like, there's a connection to that style of music. The stories are connected to where we came from, to our youth. When we listen to some of those old songs, you can visualize what was happening in your life when that song affected you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
It's almost like where they're
Motorcycle Drive-By.
Well, they're talking about, right? We can probably, we're not going to do it on camera because that would just get weird. But we can probably still sing every lyric to Motorcycle Drive-By anytime, anywhere. Yeah. But I can't listen to that like I can't listen to that at 1 p.m. in the afternoon. Like it has to be after like 11 p.m. at night.
And I can never take a shot at Southern Comfort again.
Oh God.
Totally. I mean, I understand where you're coming from, dude.
But it's interesting when you see like, we were working on some newer music, and I was talking with somebody about it. And within the span of a couple of days, we had like 4 or 5 different people ask if the song was about one specific thing.
Right.
And I thought that was really interesting because it was all different things. Like someone asked if it was about addiction. Someone else asked if it was about losing a parent. Someone else. And I'm like, when you create a music that really affects people to a point that it can actually mean something completely different for different people, that's a really cool effect, and you have music that songs we love, but I guarantee your feelings on it or why you love that song will be different than my feelings on it or why I love that song, right?
Well, yeah, for sure. Like, but I mean, also on the other hand too, there's similarities. Like you just sent me a song the other day on Apple Music, You Me at 6, right?
Oh yeah.
So I listened to that, and we're both on the same page with that one. So there's a cool aspect to certain songs too. It's like, people do feel the same about certain songs, or we listen to some brand new tracks. What feelings you automatically get, right? The quiet things that no one knows.
Oh.
Me and you, man.
Yeah.
Sunroof. Beach.
Who's driving?
Exactly. And I don't know, like we lived in different times, but it was real cool. And the other night we were talking about our old band, and I thought it was really cool that you guys have been working on redoing, or you worked on redoing an old song that we wrote, and it sounded fucking fantastic, to tell you the truth. Like, it sounded like Alice in Chains, and I would have never thought that song would have turned into that. So I'm a big fan of the remake to that song. It sounds great. And I was like, that's pretty cool, because it was a big part of our life and a big focus for a while.
Yep.
So for you guys to still want to have that incorporated in your new music, it kind of has a warm feeling for me, because I'm not, in your band, and I'm not planning on ever being in a band again. I don't plan on it. I do plan on writing some kick-ass songs, because I think I was always fairly good at it.
Yep.
And mixing them up and collaborating with some people. But I thought it was really cool, and it was kind of special to me, because just for that song, like, I was in the beginning of that, and for you guys to carry that over to your new band, it's neat. It's really neat. It's just, wow, like that band, our first band, must have still had some meaning to both you guys.
Well, that was like, what was the album? I think, I'm not a huge fan, admittedly, but I think it was Simple Plan album that was like no helmet, no pads, just balls. And it was like, it was like, we didn't necessarily have, like, we didn't have years of experience, obviously, at that point in time. I mean, you guys literally drove me to a garage where we put towels on drums, and I just started hitting things, like, and like 6 weeks later, we're recording on an analog studio, and we were moving light speed. But
we did it.
But it's like an indie film. Hashtag, check out the posters here. But it's like an indie film where you don't maybe need the biggest budget or the biggest actors or the best director. You just need a good idea, and the idea will last. It will stand the test of time. Doesn't mean it doesn't grow or get better, but that core, like those songs we worked on, The one you're talking about was originally Hallway Shadows, right? And
yeah, I forget all that stuff. When we were talking the other night, man, I did get emotional. So I'm glad that we didn't have the talk today, because I would have probably already hung up, right?
just tears all
real.
over the lens. Just
I didn't cry, but I was like, dude, I was like, wow, you know, like time goes on and you get involved and wrapped up in your own shit and your work and your life, and you go, holy fuck, like, yeah, we did that. You know,
Yep.
we did that. We played some, you know, when we played in London, like how many famous bands played those venues?
Yep.
You know, we did all that. Like it's
And
that's
how many of them put a bass through a bass drum?
zero. Not even the hardest, not even the hardest bands that we would go back to watch live, they protected their gear.
Did you remember with this sound guy? The sound guy was like, "You guys are playing harder than I've ever seen anyone play up here."
And that was a hardcore venue.
There's a small crowd of people had no idea what they were walking into when they walked into that club. They're like, oh, Tuesday night.
Just some dude.
These guys are doing radio hits. You're up there just playing to rip the strings right off the freaking neck. Pike's kick in the air. Misha's spinning the microphone. And then you're like, listen, bro, is it cool if I swing my bass into your drum? I'm like, yeah, but what I didn't expect, and I know you weren't really big on fucking practicing. What I didn't expect was the grace of an angel when you swung that bass guitar. Bro, it came off your shoulder like you had been doing that for 28 years.
Yeah, I know.
Caught it and I was in awe. I don't even think I registered the guitar going through the drum because I was so amazed that you got it off your shoulder and into your hand in one fluid. Dude, that was gazelle shit. Like you watch a deer go down a mountainside, you're like, that is beauty. That was something. And one motion. That one guy in the front row legit did not speak. His mouth was just.
So there's a dude with you know, black girls tight skinny jeans, stretchy skinny jeans on. I think I was wearing like some boat slides with skulls on them, and I remember this night, and a black and white striped t-shirt. Yep. And I'm all tattooed to shit, right? And I was a bigger guy then, and yeah, I just was like, boom. It was like damn Thor.
Like, I remember you specifically telling me about how you were going to jump kick, but you didn't have to practice jump kicking because you just feel it. And I known you a long time. I never saw you jump kick.
Well,
but you kept telling me sometime you're going to put a guitar through a bass drum. All I could think when I saw that was that you had secretly been practicing in some corner of your basement.
Oh man.
But it was unreal. Like you literally just did this whole swing. And I mean, I've seen your golf swing too. That's its own beast too. But like this thing just came around you and just like the strap flew off you and both hands. It wasn't like you one-handed it. No, you like were right here and that guitar was there.
It was the Air Jordan in London around.
Dude, you were kind of shocked. But look on your face. You had your back to the crowd. I saw your face when you went through the drum, and there was that look of like, oh, nailed it. Just nailed it.
Then kept nailing it though, because I think I kicked your drums and like beat.
Yeah, you might have taken it a little bit. Like I gave you the go ahead to damage his skin. I didn't give you the go ahead to take the toms off the kit.
I don't think your drums ended up back in the road cases that night.
They did not.
Just loaded them in the trailer.
The poor crowd. Like, is he throwing equipment at us? What is this show? Like, we go from singing the most acoustic lovey-dovey song ever to Doc, just drums and cymbals.
Tuesday night and I was sober. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Can you imagine if it was like a Wednesday and like I wasn't?
The one thing too, always bummed me out about that last show was that was the one we didn't know if we were going to do, right? Because we were, the singer there was going on to a different school. You had got a different job.
No, there was one more show booked after that. We were going to play in Chatham at the Nest. And somebody got sick.
That's right. So we didn't get to do that one. But the one in London, we decided to do like last minute. So we didn't do like any promoting for it. We didn't really push hard for it. And that always bummed me out because that was easily our best show. Like we were just, because we didn't have any stress. Everybody was just ready to play. We were excited. It was our last show. We knew it at the time.
Yeah, we were playing with Phil's band, you know, and they're killer. Like they were killer.
They were really good.
But yeah, I remember that. And yeah, man, there was a lot of good memories, you know, and even when we get in arguments as a band, that was a band thing, you know, whereas now I think later on in life, you're just like, hey, I'm writing music. Like, you know, So I don't know if that dynamic's changed or not, because I mean, I'm not in a band
Yep.
anymore, but like you still are. Like, I'm sure it's a lot different writing now than it would have been 15 years ago, right?
Well, it's interesting that we played with we met a lot of different musicians, and
Right.
it was so interesting. And I mean, anybody who's into art knows it. There is an ego. It's part of creating. It's part of why you're an artist. But there's folks that are really excited and supportive of fellow artists, and they just like, your success is their success, and like we're all kind of growing from the ground up. And then there's other folks that just get a little sprinkling of some groupie or like two fans that follow them around or something, and it just goes right to their head, and they really struggle to connect and to just accept the fact that we're all on the same level. Like we're all not rock stars, you know what I mean? We're all just trying to make music. Like that one band in Burlington, right? That we were just like, they like, sorry, we don't talk to other bands.
Yeah, we probably shouldn't mention their name, because
no, we're not going to mention
they are
names
on the radio, and they're the shit. I'm pretty sure they're not a band anymore, but whatever.
Yeah. And the other bands from
Chad
that
Kroger,
show,
we can throw out Chad Kroger's name because they were involved with Chad Kroger.
yeah, we
We'll
can
leave
throw
it at
that out there.
that.
It's fun. But the other bands that night were great. Remember, they were supporting each other. They were making sure to mosh and jump around when the other bands were playing. We were all hanging out after, having a beer. But that one band was like, they didn't want anything to do with anybody. They were the top of the bill.
See, the thing that about that time, like, music was very political. I don't know what it's like now. I heard the industry has been just rocked in Canada. Because you know how I'm involved in so much economics and what's going on and all that shit. It's one of the hardest hit industries that they don't think is going to recover for the next like 2 or 3 years. The indie music scene, right, in Canada. Fair enough. I mean, you know, to become a Canadian artist and tour the world is a hard enough thing anyways, let alone get the attention. I mean, that's another proud thing that I'm proud of when we were a band, is we got attention in the US. You know, coming from Chatham, Ontario, to get people reach out to us and say, hey, can we play your music? You know, that was pretty cool.
It was, man. I mean,
it's not easy. It's not an easy thing to do, like, at all. Nobody wants to show any interest in Canadian artists as much as an American artist, you know what I mean? But it's very interesting also how many talented bands that we got to hear that the world will never hear.
That's also true, right?
Because we played with them, and there were some amazing talented musicians.
Some of those kids, remember some of there was like that one show where there was like 15-year-old kids. I don't even know how they played in that bar.
I remember. I think they were from, like,
unreal.
Yeah, they were. I don't remember who they were. I don't remember their name, but I know exactly the night you're talking about.
They looked like a heroined up friggin' Hanson, and they
rocked it. They rocked hard, man. They were really good. But yeah, no, I mean, there were so many great memories and experiences, and I think that's going to probably come back into, you know, the songwriting and collaborating that I do moving forward. I already have an idea of kind of how I'm going to structure like an album that probably nobody will ever hear. But it's more for me and my friends, like, you know, like yourself. Like, I'm going to call you up and say, JD, listen to this shit. Like, you know, help me out here, because you're great at what you do when it comes to music. And for me, that's a no-brainer, right? Hey, Pike, can you help me out for a second here? You know, and that's going to be a really cool thing. You know, other people too that I've talked to and stuff like that, they're like, yeah, you know, like, why not? And that's just it. You have to have an open mind.
So this is I figure, man, this is a good chat. It's a good chat. I think it's a solid kickoff for the RoKTok adventure.
Yeah, and I'm honored that you you know, like, you're gonna have me to be the first one. It's kind of neat. It's
it's gonna grow. We're gonna try some different things.
It will, like everything takes time.
Right? I definitely want to have you back on, so maybe we can do one with we'll try to set up one with Misha and Pike one night, and we can all trade some stories about the old music days.
Yeah, that'd be cool, man.
That would be a lot of fun. But maybe, you know, we just get on here and we talk about something random. Maybe we'll see what's on there. But we are going to finish this video.
Non-COVID shit.
No, yeah, no.
Right?
We're not. Listen, I want to have fun with this, right? I want people to enjoy the talks. I want people to enjoy meeting some of the local talent, the people that are into the arts around here, and why it moves them. You know.
Well, dude, like, I mean, I'm gone out of the city, obviously, but I mean, people that know me now have no clue that I was in a band that not only was in a band that recorded CDs,
But
You
was
know,
that you or was that 8-Ball Paul?
well, it's a little bit of both. Right? It's a funny story about the 8-Ball Paul thing, but I mean, I'm gonna keep it. I like
Well,
it.
and we'll save it. So we're gonna finish this video with failure.
All right.
I want to give a huge shout out to Ryan, my boy from long ago, and still getting back in the music scene. And great
I'm stoked,
man.
Yeah, I'm so stoked about it. I mean, like, nobody orders half a transport full of gear and shit from around the world unless they're really going to put their nose to the grind, right? So I'm looking forward to see what it brings with no expectations or hopes. But I think it's my heroine now, not that I was ever on heroin. I want to make that clear. But yeah, I think this is, this is a very healthy thing for me, and getting back into writing, and even a little bit that I've done, I've impressed myself. And that's what really counts.
Well, hey, let's throw them up.
Yeah, man.
And let's roll out. All right.
I'll talk to you soon.
Again,